Islam,
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 Islamism.
Islamism.
Back once again, back once again. We want to
Back
welcome
once
our
again.
viewers. We want to welcome our viewers back once again to the Moorish Sense Channel. I'm your host, Brother Brendan Jordan Hill, Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America, co-host, one half of the dynamic duo here at the Moorish Sense Channel. And to my left this evening is none other than
Brother Valance Bey, a sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America, located at 1055 Milton Avenue. Man, we gonna have some fun. We gonna have some fun tonight.
that's right. Yeah, so we took a brief little, detour for a week, just allowed everyone to kind of look at some of the playbacks. And, we appreciate just the love and support that we've been getting with the Moorish Sense channel. As always, we're going to start the Moorish Sense channel off with our Moorish American prayer given to us by our beloved Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Islam,
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 Islam.
Islam.
Allah, the Father of the universe,
Allah, the Father of the universe,
the Father of love,
Father of love,
truth,
truth,
peace,
peace,
freedom,
freedom,
and justice.
and justice.
Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide,
my guide,
and my salvation
and my salvation
by night
by night
and by day,
and by day
through his holy prophet,
through his holy prophet,
Drew Ali.
Drew Ali.
Amen.
Amen.
Islam.
Islam. Praise Allah. So
Man,
again, welcome to the Moorish Sense channel. As the Sheikh stated earlier, we're going to have some fun this evening. Of course, the title of this specific presentation, this specific demonstration, is the Moorish Science Temple of America, according to Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I want to first raise my thoughts. I want to give honors to Prophet Noble Drew Ali, the prophet and founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America. I want to give honors to the prophet's forerunner, Brother Marcus Mosiah Aurelius Garvey. I want to also give honors to all past and present leaders of the Moorish Science Temple of America, those that we know and those that we don't know. I want to give honors to our leaders at 1055 North Milton Avenue. That's Temple number 13, located in Baltimore, Maryland. The Supreme Grand Sheikh C. Pray the Ill and the Supreme Grand Sheikh B. Pray the Ill. I also want to give honors to our National Grand Sheikh T. Jones Bay. And I also want to give honors to our national officials, as well as our officials at Milton Avenue, as well as our officials at all the other respective temples. I want to give honors to all Moorish Americans who are keeping the doors of the Moorish Science Temple of America open, teaching our people the truth about themselves, that they're not Negroes, blacks, coloreds, Ethiopians, etc. I just want to give honor, man. And I'm just, I'm elated because, it's been just a good energy going on, and we want to
yeah,
just say to our subscribers and those who have been just following us, if you like what you're hearing on YouTube and on Facebook, please just follow us, hit the subscribe button. It keeps us going. It keeps the momentum going. Please continue to pose your questions, your comments. We had a lot of fun with that last series. And I ain't gonna say fun,
man.
but we just
No,
really
listen, we had fun, Mo.
right.
And the reason I'm saying we had
Go ahead.
it's because more science is not this thing where people supposed to be stiff and
Right.
we are morally and ethically straight,
That's
but
right, man.
we love what we do and we know what we doing.
And we live
Right.
the life, man.
And we
that's
live,
not boasting and bragging. It's
no,
just
it's not. It's not.
we live it.
Because let the truth be told, as we're going to go into this segment, this is going to pour a lot of people on the carpet. Not because we are trying to make mockery or fun of anybody, but if you got a clean glass of water and a dirty glass of water and you put them next to each other, then basically what's going to happen is you're going to be able to see what's happening.
Hey Mo, it reminds me of a phrase I used to use. It's called it's called the litmus test, man. But I kind of moved on from that because, for different reasons, I don't even use that term anymore.
Don't move on from that, right? And the reason being is, see, what people don't understand is that how long have you been in the temple, Mo?
Approximately 9 years.
9 years. Have you jumped from have you been in the same temple for 9 years?
I've never been a grasshopper Sheik. I don't jump. I never jump from administration to administration.
So I've been in the temple for 26 years, and I've been at the same temple, not jumping from temple to temple, administration and administration. And what happens is, in my years in the temple, and I know in your years in the temple, what we see is people moving from different, if you will, jurisdictions, administrations,
Right.
and they really haven't set good, bad, or indifferent. Now, I'm not
Breaking up, Sheik.
encouraging
Go ahead.
anybody.
There
If
you
you
go.
are sitting under a leader
Go ahead. You good.
and he's not doing anything, of course, you approach them personally and talk to them and try to work that problem out. And if it's not solved,
Breaking up a little bit, Sheik. Gonna wait for you to buff out. All right, giving it a few seconds. Giving it a few seconds while the Sheik's playback is buffering out. All right, you good, Sheik? Go ahead.
okay. Um, if you do have a problem in the administration, then if you can't work it out, uh, you know, unfortunate, but find a temple where you can do the work. But what we find is in 26 years, some of these people that's popping up and some of these concepts, I've never seen them in the chamber.
Mm-mm.
And I've been, many different places across the country, uh, talked to many different brothers and sisters from different administrations. And I'm just saying, like, what people are saying that the Moorish Science Temple of America is, they're not using the words of Prophet Noble Ali, right?
Can't be. And if
And
they are, they distorting it, man.
yeah, and using it for their own purpose. So starting this series, we'll get into it, and you're gonna be able to put the clean glass of water next to the dirty glass,
That's
right?
right. That's
And,
right.
and it's fun because we're not doing anything with ill intent. Because, and we'll get into it. We're gonna get into it.
Yeah, we're gonna make it clean, making it plain,
Yeah,
man. But
yeah,
we're making it plain according to the prophet,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
not our interpretation. So here we go. So the first thing we want to do and what we want to cover, before we even, get into the prophet's works, we want to just inform our viewing audience, our listening audience, etc., of what literary works are. And some people may actually be familiar with what literary works are, but I brought this out in our Sunday school a few years ago on literary works. And I think it's just imperative to kind of bring it out to those who are viewing and listening today.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you look at the Prophet Noble Drew works, the Prophet Noble Drew works, what sets it apart from other things that you may read is that the Prophet Noble Drew in his works, he uses various different expressions. And if you're not trained or if you don't have a keen eye or a keen sense of discernment, you may miss the expression. So here we go. Literary works. So we're looking at 5 different types of literary works, 5 kinds. The first one, you have authorical context, you have social historical context,
Mm-hmm.
you also have, and I'm scrolling down, philosophical context, you have literary context, and last but not least, you also have critical context.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm just going to give everybody a brief overview of authorial context. So authorial context is another term for a biographical context. To say that authors write from their own experiences is an exaggeration. Imagination is important too, but their lives always influence their work in some way. And I'm just going to read another portion. It says, this does not mean, however, that the author identifies with the main character, even or the narrator in a novel or a speaker in a poem, or that the events or experiences he or she describes actually happen, and the author is just reporting what he or she witnessed. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I want us to pay very close attention to that first point, and I only read 2 sentences from it. The next one is socio-historical context. So you're dealing with literary works often respond in some way to the society in which they are written. And most often, though not always, the response takes form of criticism. Think about how this particular work depicts society. And you'll see that all throughout the Prophet Noble Drew works, you're going to see socio-historical context.
Mm-hmm.
With that, what is the societal issues is concerned? It is a concern. What seems to be the author's attitude towards society? If you detect criticism, at whom or what is it directed? How do you think the author would like to see society change? So these are all different aspects that are getting us to think. These are aspects that we use on a regular basis in our meetings, Fridays, Sundays, and our other respective meetings. You also have a philosophical context, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is when the contemporary authors consciously or subconsciously address the same questions that have captivated humanity's attention ever since we became prosperous enough to have the time and energy to think about them. So, what is the nature of the universe might be a question. Prophet Noble Ali gives us the question. Well, he gives us actually the answer in the question as to who Allah is. And Allah is the Father of the universe, right?
That's
But
right.
also, what is the individual's proper response to the universe? All right.
That's right.
Including the first category, metaphysics, and the second question about whether it has purpose or meaning, if it ever didn't exist, or will it ever stop existing, right? And
That's right.
if you go down further, it says that when you're dealing with the universe or something else, some of the aspects of that is humanity, life, death, thought, love, God, nature, time, and so on. So we see even the Prophet Noble Ali using philosophical context in his literary works. Somewhere I read that the Prophet Noble Ali is the author of the Moorish Science Temple of America and the Moorish Americans. And then second to last, you have literary context, and literary context to whatever else literary works respond. They also respond to other literary works.
Mm-hmm.
Author's response to other authors, positively, negatively, or both. Consider some of the following questions, right? How does a particular work fit into a broader category of literature? Can it be characterized by a specific ism, such as romanticism, realism, naturalism, extensionalism, modernism, or postmodernism? And then, those categories, that's in a place of higher learning.
Mm-hmm.
And this specific document is coming from George Mason University. But
Okay.
the last point, right? Let's go over here. The last one. I want to just make sure everybody can see it because we said it was 5 of them. So
Mm-hmm.
let me pull up the 5th. And the very last one I want to show everyone, and I'll pass it over to you, Sheik, and then we get into the prophet's works, is this one. So the last one is dealing with critical context, and that's any work that's published to attract criticism, if it is noticed at all. The critics begin to write about it, express about what they admire, what they dislike, etc., and so forth. And
Mm-hmm.
again, this document right here is coming from George Mason University, which we can definitely give everyone a copy. If you would like a copy, you can email it. We'll also put it in the link as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And we're in any of our shows, what we are not doing is talking about people. We are addressing behaviors.
That's right.
Um, and if a person happens to be participating in a particular behavior, then if the shoe fit, wear it. But we're not talking about people. We're addressing behaviors.
Right.
And I like to state this quote. It says, "Great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Small minds discuss people."
That's right.
So what we are holding ourselves to a high moral standard, and not only are we holding ourselves to a high moral standard, we are not going to participate in browbeating and you know just what I like to
Humiliating
call
people. We ain't doing that.
yeah goofy stuff.
Yeah, we
Now,
ain't doing that.
if you find people who are wearing turbans and fezzes that are doing that, then they are diametrically opposed, meaning that is against love, true peace, freedom, and justice, right?
That's right.
And because when we talk about those love, true peace, freedom, and justice, they are principles. Now, what is a principle? A principle should become a habit, and a habit should be internalized. And once a habit is internalized, then what starts to happen is it manifests itself. And this is what we are doing, and these are what our principles are, and this is what Moorish Americans should be doing, is practicing their principles, right? Um, Somewhere we read in the Quran, it says, "Establish to thyself principles and
We'll do
ever
act.
act according to them."
That's right.
Right. So now we made a statement, we gave a couple examples, and we qualified it. Okay. So what I find, because tonight's topic is, what is the Moorish Science Temple of America?
That's right.
Because Noble Drew Ali is the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America, we should look toward him for this explanation. So what do I mean? Because some people might say, Noble Drew Ali ain't around anymore, or whatever. Okay, but he did leave us something that expresses what the Moorish Science Temple of America is about, right? The problem has been is that people have tried to interpret what Noble Drew Ali is instructing or has instructed without first developing a good understanding of what he is truly saying via his words.
Islam.
Now, the first document that we see when we come into the temple is the divine constitution and bylaws, right?
That's right.
And at the top of the divine constitution and bylaws, it says the Moorish Science Temple of America. Now
I'm gonna
let's
pull it
stop
up
right
right now, Creek. Go ahead, do your thing. I got you.
there. Okay. So when we see this document, what is a constitution? A constitution is a document or laws, rules, and regulations that tells um, the body of people or whoever reads it or whoever is buying into that particular ideal or idea how they're supposed to govern themselves. So we see the word the right there, right?
That's right.
And it's in red. So that means that it's important. He's expressing it. Now, what we are demonstrating is science. And in order to be able to understand science, you have to observe carefully and closely. And guess what? You need a guide to be able to help you observe what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali is saying. So at the top of this document, I mean, after the symbols, it's in red, it says the. So the in the English language is a definite article. And this definite article is speaking of what? Moorish Science Temple.
That's right.
The next word is Moorish.
Go ahead.
Okay. Now, people, oh, I'm a Moor, we've been Moors. Or we don't just want to call ourselves a Moor because now we understand that we see a word, a base word with a suffix. The base word is more.
That's
The,
right.
the suffix is ish,
That's right.
ISH. So what is a base word, right? A base word is a part or a part of a word that has a meaning by itself. Okay, so the word more has a meaning by itself, right? Um, the meaning can be changed or expanded by adding letters to the beginning, which will be a prefix. So
Prefix.
we don't see a prefix right now here.
Not
Okay,
at all. You see a
uh,
suffix.
and ending of a suffix of the word. So sometimes small changes are made to the base word when endings are added. So when you just say I'm a Moor, the prophet know what you are. We call each other that affectionately,
That's
but we
right.
see that the word Moorish has a base word and it has a suffix. So when the prophet Noble Drew Ali, who by the way was the first one to call himself a Moorish
Moorish
American
American. That's right.
on record, he is our father. Okay, so he is the prototype. He is the
Standard. He's the
ideal.
standard, Mo.
He's the standard. Thank you, Mo. He's the
That's right.
standard.
He's a
So
standard.
so now let's talk about what a suffix is. Right now, we gotta use this context because this is the first document that we are introduced to. And because we're introduced to this document, it's telling us how we should be governed. And the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, in the very title of what the Moorish Science Temple of America is, he's expressing to us how we should not only view the organization, but how we should view ourselves, right?
Islam.
Because a change had to come about. So a suffix is used to form an adjective from a noun. So more is a noun, and when you add ish to it, now you have a what? An
You have an
adjective.
adjective. It's an adjective of
And
word. That's what it
adjective
is.
is a what? An action word,
It's an action.
right? So the Moorish, now we have the word science. Now, what is science? Science is a systematic branch of
Systematic
knowledge
knowledge that can be
that can be
tested and
tested and
proven.
proven at any given time. So, what the
That's
prophet
right.
is saying is that we have a systematic branch of knowledge of how we are Moorish, and he is the one who established this particular system. And him establishing this particular system, guess what? It goes back to the ancients of time because he's explaining to us what we were called in ancient times and what we should identify ourselves as noun.
That's
Okay.
right.
Now, something interesting, right?
Go ahead.
With this, um, now the suffix can be ish can be used in many different ways. It with the sense of or using with the sense of belonging to,
Hmm.
um, after the manner of, having
From
the characteristics of
the nativity of,
the nativity, or also it can
from the country or land
it,
of. Right.
or it can express an addiction, like foolishness. Okay, that
Oh,
when it's
okay.
used.
Breaking up a little bit, sheet. Give you some time to buff out. All right, he gonna come back on in a second. He was on the roll.
I'm back.
Coming back in a second. There you go. You good now?
All right.
Yeah, you back. Yes, sir. Go
So
ahead.
when we say somebody is foolish, we are saying that they are addicted to acting like a fool. Okay.
Right.
Now,
That's right.
it can be inclined or trending to, near, or about. Okay. When a suffix is added to a word, it modifies its meaning. So we don't just want to call ourselves a Moor, especially on official records. Okay. So
That's right.
those people out there who taking the word Moor and putting it Muur, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali didn't bring that, and that is an innovation that people have made up because they don't want to follow the rules and regulations of the systematic branch of knowledge that can be tested and proven at any given time. Okay.
That's right.
Now, the last word I'm gonna demonstrate on is temple.
Temple.
Now, that word is a powerful word. Okay. Now, What was the first temple? And I don't want you to answer it,
Okay.
but if a listening audience is somebody in the chat, what was the first temple?
You can type it in if you want to in the chat.
Yeah, you can type it in the chat if you want to, if you know what the first temple was. But we we are charged to look up this word temple. Okay. Um, and I mean, you don't just use a Webster's dictionary, but biblically, what is a temple? The temple, or this word is used because it expresses that this is the house of Allah. Okay.
So Laravia Pittman said the body. She said that's a guy. She said the
That's
body.
that's one aspect, but the first temple, and that's a great, because the body is a temple, right?
That's
But
right.
we're talking about the physical aspect of the temple, um, Sister Pittman, which that was a great guess,
That's right.
right? That was a great guess. And what we are seeing is the Prophet Noble Drew Ali is making reference to Enoch's temple. That was the first temple that was built,
That's right.
because Solomon's temple was built on top of Enoch's temple.
That's loud.
But when the Prophet Noble Drew Ali is expressing this, he is talking about our body, but the temple also is a place, and he's talking about the temple is the house of Allah, right? According to the gospel. Now, when we say gospel, we not
Hold on, Steve. You're breaking up, Mo.
okay.
Breaking up. You want to get this? Hold on. You buffering out. All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
All right, you good now? Yep. Go ahead.
We're not talking about the gospels. The word gospel means good
Good
news.
news. That's right.
Okay. And then when we really get into the word temple, temple is an English word, and it comes from the Latin word templum. Okay. And templum, it basically is talking about a consecrated place. So
Right.
now we see why it's important to come to a temple, because now it's a consecrated place, or a piece of ground, or a building. So that means it was something that took place, that happened, that consecrated this particular building. Now the root word to templum is tem, which
That's right.
means to cut, from the idea of a space cleared or cut, or tree, like trees cut down to build, or utilization of the trees to make an altar or a sacred space. You understand?
That's
So
right.
now, just in a very title, man, we ain't even get into the other words. Just
Right.
in that title, we see that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali is expressing to us how he wants our mind to be according to our principles.
That's
And
right.
guess what? It's in red, so it means it's important.
He's
But
trying to get your attention.
he trying, come on, man.
Yeah.
He trying to get your attention.
Trying to get your attention.
But only a good Moorish scientist, right, can identify that. Now we just getting started.
That's right.
We just getting started.
Yeah,
And that's
no.
why you gotta carefully observe the teachings and people out there on the internet
Type
calling
in,
themselves all types of names.
right.
I mean, the people's champion, belts, and all man,
It's
listen,
wild, man. But I
it's
mean,
not,
to each his own. To each his
yeah,
own.
each his own, but guess
Yeah,
what?
to each his own.
The prophet say we don't respect, or Allah does not respect the
Respect the
titles
titles or
and
station.
stations of men.
Man, that's right.
And when you get into talking about people, and and doing different things of this nature, it said, what does this lower self breed? Hatred, slander, lewdness, murders, theft, and everything that harms.
That's
So
right.
now we see that we go against that particular, we going against the particular teachings of the prophet Islam.
Islamism. So we're gonna get into the Moorish leaders' historical message to America.
Yeah, man, listen, because I went off for a minute.
No, it's good because that's what we need. But we want to make
I
sure
caught the
that
spirit, man. I caught the spirit.
for real though. I know
Praise
that
God.
a lot of our audiences, our viewers, etc. We have some people who are familiar with the Moorish Science Temple of America. It may even sound foreign, so the language that we speak, because
Mhm.
again, when you're dealing with Moorish Americans, we have our own specific language. And
That's right.
she made reference to the fact that, yes, we are in fact Moors, but we are Moorish Americans. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali teaches us that we're Moorish Americans in our Quran questions for Moorish Americans. And we have the ability to do this by way of our authority.
That's
But
right.
again, according to Prophet Noble Drew Ali, what is the Moorish Science Temple of America? Here we go. So what I'm pulling up right now, we're dealing with the Moorish leaders' historical message to America. And I'm just going to
Mm-hmm.
read some portions of it just to give everyone a general idea. I'm going to do a
Mm-hmm.
little zooming in so people can see.
Mm-hmm.
Zoomed in too much. There we go. All right. So this is the Moorish leaders, the Moorish leaders' historical message to America. I'm just going to read it from my portion right here, my pamphlet, and then we're going to keep it moving. Islam.
Islam.
All right, so here we go. So when you're dealing with the Moorish leaders' historical message to America, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he had a newspaper known as the Moorish Guide during the time of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali.
That's
It
right.
was excerpts that were taken from the Moorish Guide, the national edition, which was published between 1927 and 1929 by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who was the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Through this publication, you had different Moorish Americans and other articles that were being published in the Moorish Guide, but ultimately this specific article is to give the individuals, the public, a clear understanding of what the Moorish Science Temple of America is all about. And it says this: it says, in connection with the aims, objects, rules, and regulations of the Moorish Science Temple of America, and this is Prophet Noble Drew Ali, I deem it proper to submit to you a brief statement of our organization, covering its inception, rise, and progress of the Mohammedan religion. So Mohammedan is somewhat of an antiquated word. You may hear the word Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
Some people use the modern term Muslim, but we who are Moorish Americans in the Moorish Science Temple of America, we are in fact Muslims, which I hope will be satisfactory to you and be the means of causing you at all times to adhere. So when you adhere to something, you're following it, you're living it, and not only that, but you're making it a part in every part of your life. When you adhere to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice in your relations with mankind in general. So
Mm-hmm.
the prophet is saying that, look, if you are in fact a Moorish American, if you are an adherent to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali's teachings, if you state that you are to propagate the faith of Ali here in America, then you are duly obligated to demonstrate these specific principles. You have to adhere to these principles. And the way you adhere to these principles, number one, is by focusing on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What good am I to focus on other people's issues and to air other people's, grievances and gripes to the public, when all actuality I can pull up Sheik, and you and I, we've had our, knockdown, drag outs, etc.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we brothers, and we're going to press hands, and then it's going to be love, and we're going to share our points of view, and we can agree to disagree, and we're also
That's
going
right.
to find a commonality between things, and
That's
that's
right.
what we should be able to do as Moorish Americans. But back to the prophet. The prophet says this: I further anxiously, most anxiously hope that this brief statement will help you to more clearly see the duty and wisdom of at all times upholding the fundamental principles which are desired for our civilization,
Mm-hmm.
of our posterity, meaning our descendants, meaning the
Mm-hmm.
generations to come. So the prophet Noble Drew Ali was thinking about you and I. He was thinking about us when he wrote this, because we are part of that posterity and those who have yet to come into the Moorish Science Temple of America,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
such as obedience to law, respect and loyalty to government, tolerance and unity. So this shows you right here that when you, and I'm not speaking radical, but I'm just telling the truth. If you're dealing with the sovereign citizen movement, which we're going to get into in a minute, because Moorish
Yeah.
Americans are not sovereigns.
Mm-hmm.
If you're dealing with the taking of individuals' property, which is unlawful, not only according to the rules and regulations of the Moorish Science Temple of America, but it's also unlawful in all 50 states throughout the United States. You cannot, by any means, convince me or anybody else who may be listening to this that you are a follower of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali did not bring the sovereign citizen movement, and in fact, we're going to get into who actually not only brought it, but some of the teachings and how it's diametrically opposed to Islamism.
That's right. That's
The
right.
prophet also says this. He says, such as obedience to law, respect and loyalty to government, tolerance and unity. We organized as the Moorish Science Temple of America in the year 1925, and were legally incorporated as a civic organization under the laws of the state of Illinois, November 29th, 1926. Now, somebody might be asking the question, well, in the Quran Questions for Moorish Americans, it states that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali founded the Moorish Science Temple of America in 1913 AD. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that is true. The Moorish Science Temple of America is a perpetual movement. And also, we know and understand, and I'm speaking in a little science right here, when you're dealing
Mm-hmm.
with dreams and visions or thoughts, they come from
Mm-hmm.
on high. And they're not fully materialized until the
Mm-hmm.
appointed time by Allah. And that's something else that we'll share. Now I'm
Yeah.
gonna go to page 2 real briefly.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I'm gonna pass it back over to you, Sheik.
Okay.
All right,
'Cause
give
I
me one.
want to, yeah, whenever you get finished, I want to talk about that word founded. Right.
Okay, we can
Yeah.
get into that.
Yeah.
So here we go. So back to it. So this is the second half of it for the viewers. All right, it said change. Let me zoom in just a little bit, and let me move it over just a little bit. Change to the Moorish Science Temple of America, May 1928, in accordance with the legal requirements of the Secretary of State of the state of Illinois. The object of our organization, and this is the object, this is the mission statement, this is the purpose, this is what the Prophet Noble Drew Ali desired when he not only desired, but he implemented and enforced
Mm-hmm.
in, while he was here upon this earth. The object of our organization is to help in the great program of uplifting fallen humanity and teach those things necessary to make our members better citizens. The
Mm-hmm.
prophet says this. He says, a national organization with Rotarian complexion as it relates to branch temples became obvious with the increasing number of inquiries from men and women in different sections of the country concerning the purpose of the organization. There are branch temples in 15 different states at this time. And if you look behind me, I have a copy of the first annual convention. And on that convention poster, you will find those temples. It
Mm-hmm.
says, since the work of the Moorish Science Temple of America was largely religious, the organization has been legally changed to a religious corporation, and an affidavit to this effect has been properly filed in the Cook County Recorder's Office of Illinois. All right. It
Mm-hmm.
says, inspired by the lofty teachings of the Quran, we have it as the real word of God Allah. We shall foster the principles of his teachings among our members. And that's a big controversy right now amongst the
Mm-hmm.
Moorish circuit as well.
Mm-hmm.
What Quran is the prophet making reference to? What principles of the prophet is the prophet Noble Drew Ali making reference to? And we're going to get into all of that. This
Mm-hmm.
is our religious privilege as American citizens. So the prophet never said that we were against or in variance with the government. He says it right there. We're American citizens under the laws of one of the greatest documents of all time, the
The
American
American
Constitution.
Constitution. Man.
Go ahead, Sheik.
No, no, you finished now, Mo. I don't want to cut your thoughts. I was just,
Go ahead, because
I
I
was
got
just
more to add. But
okay,
I
okay,
want to say this. Let me say this part,
yeah,
right?
go ahead.
So when we look at 1913, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he develops what is known as the Moorish Temple of Science. Some say the Moorish Holy Temple of Science.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at that, we have in our Quran, it's a chapter known as the End of Time and the Fulfilling of the Prophecies. But also, we're going to use the lingo again. We know people taking our words again, the Holy Bible. We're going to say Holy Bible in this instance and not the other term, but the Holy Bible. If you look at Isaiah 28:16, you'll find that prophecy being fulfilled. But the object of the movement, when you look at it ultimately, the object of the movement was to aid society and mankind equally. So when you look at Wednesday, August 1st, 1928, that's when you get the affidavit being signed. Then you look at February, September 28th, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali speaks to the nations, and through that specific piece that the Prophet Noble Drew Ali is laying out, he's stating and he's letting people know, he's letting the nations know that he needs strong men and women, and we're gonna get to that too.
Mm-hmm.
November 28th, 1926, you see the Prophet Noble Drew Ali incorporating his movement in Chicago, Illinois. But the hit is this: it's a not-for-profit organization. So people look at not-for-profit and they think nonprofit is one and the same when it isn't. And then
That's right.
also, it's a civic organization. So when the prophet is making reference to some of the things in what we just covered, he's letting you know the initial approach to it in that first page from a civic standpoint and point of view.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And the civic organization is known as the Moorish Temple of Science, or to many as the Moorish Holy Temple of Science. But the object of the organization, as it states in our 101 questions, question number 15, is to uplift fallen humanity. And then also, as I stated before, to teach those things necessary to make our members better citizens. So, ultimately, anybody who's teaching anything outside of this is not representing the Moorish Science Temple of America.
And when you use the word incorporated, because there's some people who are saying that the prophet never incorporated the movement, when we clearly see in the Moorish literature that that's not true. That he did incorporate.
That's right.
Also, we can also look inside of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Let's look at it. Go ahead, She. Continue. I'm gonna pull it up.
That's when the prophet himself developed this particular record. And in this particular record, it should be chapter 40, what is it, 47 or 48?
48. That's right.
Chapter 48,
Can
he
you see?
says that the Moorish Science Temple of America,
Here we go.
okay, he says the Moorish Science Temple of America is a lawfully chartered and incorporated organization.
Now let me highlight that.
Please highlight it
Yeah, man. Let me see. I'm gonna
if
highlight
you
it.
can.
Yeah, I can highlight it. Yes, sir. All right, here we go. Wait a minute. If it allows me to. Nah, it won't allow me. But right here,
Okay, so
verse
that's
4.
verse
We right
4.
here. Yeah, we right there.
In verse 4, it says, the Moorish Science Temple of America is a lawfully chartered and incorporated organization. Any subordinate temple that desires to receive a charter, the prophet has them to issue to every state throughout the United States. Okay.
Right.
Now people might ask, well, how can a prophet do that if he ain't on the scene? Well, if you are a lawfully chartered and incorporated organization, you would be able to see how the prophet is able to do that. You with me so far?
Yes.
So this word founded, right? Just like and I'm gonna use you and myself for example. When this show was founded, we didn't have all the ideas or how this show was going to go or which way it was going to go. We had to sit down and have a conversation,
That's right.
meaning it was founded. We talked, it was an idea, we talked about it, and as a result of that, we started to do some planning, and now we started manifesting some things. Okay, so
Smart.
when we look at founded, that's what it's talking about. Now you have some people who out there, oh, the Moorish Science Temple of America was the Canaanite temple. Well, if you look at the paperwork, the Canaanite temple didn't come into existence till 1924 in the paper sense,
That's
and
right.
the Prophet Noble Drew Ali's name is nowhere on that. So That's I and according to the 101s, he said that the Moorish Science Temple of America was founded in 1913. He
That's
didn't
right.
say the Canaanite Temple, and I'm just saying, good. I'm using good common sense. So
Islam.
if somebody has some physical documentation, please provide that documentation to us because I could stand corrected. I know there's an interview out there, but this is an interview of a person, and this is a third account, okay, or we could say second account,
Second hand. Yeah, probably
second-hand
second
account.
hand. Right.
We really can't go off of that particular article, right? We can put it to the side. We could continue to put it to the acid test, but we cannot concretely say that this is so, right?
That's right.
So, you know, um, praise Allah. And when we look at science,
Breaking up a little bit, sheet. Let you buffer out. All right. All
we
right.
good?
Now, yes, sir. Go ahead.
All right, so that means that we are more scientists, okay? So we have to bring a scientific attitude to what it is that we do, right?
Islam.
And what happens is Moorish Americans and lay people, and when I say lay people, people who have never visited the Moorish Science Temple of America, who try to look at lectures on YouTube and things of this
Facebook.
Facebook, these are considered as lay peoples, right? Lay people. Also, you have had foreigners, even during the time of the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, that tried to deter him from teaching us certain things, right? And others who have not committed themselves truly to understand or have a sincere desire to understand. They have in turn promoted uh, innovations, falsehoods, and half truths, and these have been based on their own limited human understanding. And this is why they, are going around saying certain things or demonstrating behaviors that they shouldn't. Now, what does the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice promote when a person starts to practice it?
Okay.
It promotes healthy activities, which are understanding, to teach, to learn, and apply.
Hmm.
This is what a scientific attitude does, and this is why the teaching should be life changing,
That's
right?
right.
We have a saying: you can come as you are to the
But you
temple,
can't
but
stay
you
as you
can't
are
stay as you are.
at all.
And if you stay as you are, that means that you ain't doing no work on yourself, right?
Right.
So now, what do these activities lead to? They lead to effectiveness with ourselves and others, and is based on our character. And we must be consistent with these things. And this is why we don't see um, a flourishing of
Community.
Moorish American community
Community.
across the circuit because
Right.
people are not being consistent and living and practicing and applying, teaching, um, uh, uh, and learning these particular principles. And we know that they can't understand it because we don't see the manifestation. And our Supreme Grand Sheikh makes sure that we understand, that we are learning, that we are applying, and guess what? If we don't do those things, we're held accountable for it.
That's right.
Um, so the four expectations, right? Now, when we see the front of the Quran, we see some people call it breaks or what they want to call it. We not gonna and
Trying us out.
yeah,
Trying
we ain't gonna sign us out right
us
now.
out on the right.
But that number four, if you look at the front of the Quran, you're gonna see the four. But she used the word Passean record.
Okay.
And what happens is we would like for those who are utilizing it or who's have heard it from
From the
us
source. From the
or
source,
from
right.
the source,
You're
right? From
right.
the source.
Come on,
What
man.
is the Passean record?
They
What
can't
is
tell
it?
you. They can't
They
tell
won't
you.
be able to tell you. You get what
Right.
I'm
They
saying?
can't tell you. Right.
So praise Allah. So let's get back to the four expectations. It's improved self-confidence and self-esteem, right? Because when we call ourselves Negro, Black, and Colored, our self-esteem is shot,
It's
man.
low,
We
man. It's a
think
low vibration.
it's a low vibration.
That's right.
Um, improve relationships. This is why it says in one of the laws, it says, wife, you must obey your husband. We ain't talking about husbands going around
Forcing women to do
forcing
whatever
their
they
women to
don't
do.
do that. The prophet
No,
says that you're not a slave to this man's passions. He says that
passion and
clearly.
desire.
You feel me?
You're supposed to live according to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
That's right.
And your sister woman is going to be able to obey those particular principles because she's going to honor the Allah that's in you.
Islam.
Because the Allah that's in her is going to recognize the Allah that's in you.
That's
And
right.
now y'all going to be able to walk together because man, woman, and child, that's the supreme symbol
That's right.
of Allah's creation.
And it's the
Okay.
First Nation too, Mo.
That's right.
Go ahead.
And the fourth one, or excuse me, the third one is the capacity to motivate others, right?
Right.
And then not only that, it's an adventure, right? This is why we have fun. We're tapping into our creativity. Okay, we find joy and we find happiness and zest. This is why
it makes me think about the saying, the saying, and we often say it,
we on fire with love and holy zeal.
On fire with love and holy zeal. That's one of them, right? And
right.
The other one is if you're in Moorish science and you're not having fun or you're not living, if you're not happy, man, you're not doing something right.
Something ain't right. And you're not adventurous.
On other people's business. Oh, you can't be happy, man. You can't be, man. You can't convince me you happy if you go ahead, man. Go ahead. That's crazy.
So if you want to change a person's behavior, change a person's way they view things, this is known as the paradigm. If you want to change a person's paradigm, then what the prophet say? He said, if I can get you to think,
you can save yourself.
Man, I ain't gonna start talking about thinking because thinking it's a very spiritual process. Because can you see it? You see it? I mean, you have indications like the eyes moving around and things of this nature that may identify a person thinking.
Right.
But the prophet say, if I can get you to think,
that's right.
You can save yourself. Right. So now we have to think, but how does he want us to think? He want us to think in a very spiritual way, because in the Quran, he said the clearest human knowledge is but blindness and folly.
Now that brings me to a point too. So this is the point. So when you really think about it, we ain't against virtual learning, virtual instruction, and things of that nature. But this is the importance and imperativeness of actually being in a physical temple, because when you look at what the Prophet Noble Drew puts down and then the additional laws for Moorish Americans, the Prophet says that we are to attend our Sunday schools, and out of our Sunday schools come the gods of the nation. But he also states that we have to exercise our five senses. So he's not talking about taste, smell, touch, feel, and sight. He's talking about some faculties of the mind. But I'm not going to go into what faculties they are.
That's
come out
right.
More Science Temple of America Temple of Milton Avenue, and we'll teach you how to use those faculties. But you can't, and I'm not saying you can't get the full essence, because some people get the full essence, but you won't get the full essence and the full expression. Said it earlier in the meet during this program. The full expressions of what Prophet Noble Drew has given us, it lives through us because, number one, we're his children by adoption, and we're also his children by different ways and means as well in the Moorish Science Temple of America. But the point that you made in regards to motivating other people, Sheik, it reminds me of the article that you brought up in regards to what the purpose of the Moorish Science Temple of America is. Like,
let's bring that up. Let's bring it
up. Man. Let's do this. All right, here we go.
Now, this is from the Moorish Guide, right?
Now,
let me tell you how I got this, right?
Praise Allah.
Grand Sheik Predil, I was young in the temple. It was our current national Grand Sheikist, who's our national Grand Sheikist, T. Jones Bay. Ramadan Kareem. Praise Allah.
Praise Allah.
Yeah. And then we had Grand Sheik Brownell, right? Who's the temple in Atlanta. It was a few other sheiks, and another sheik and another sheikist, right? he sent us to Glassboro, New Jersey, to see a grand governor, and the Weaver Bay family, who has started publication preserving the Moorish gods. I got this, and I had it in my possession for like maybe 7 years before I realized. I said, man, I said organizational goals, and I said, wow, the prophet and the Moorish God right here.
That's
It
right.
says organizational goals. He says the purpose and goals of the Moorish movement were articulated by Prophet Noble Ali in the September 14th, 1928 edition of his national weekly publication, The Moorish Guide. We just talked about where the Moorish literature came from, right?
That's right.
When he indicated that it was building on human needs. Everything that we just talked about, those four expectations of us, right? Um, along with our five principles, among the many other lessons that we learned, uh, it was to dispense charity and provide for the mutual assistance of his members in times of distress. Um, teach those things. Oh,
Hold
excuse
on.
me.
Let me go back.
Praise
You
Allah.
good. We got it. I'm just all right. Can you see it?
Yep.
All right, go ahead.
Aid in the improvement of health and encourage the ownership of better homes, right?
That's right.
Find employment for its members, also to encourage them to be business owners because you had the Moorish Young Men's Business League, right?
That's right.
All right. And it says, teach those fundamental principles which are desired for hold on,
Civilization.
our civilization, such as obedience to law, uh, loyalty to government, um, tolerance, and
That's right.
we see right here. These are some things that will continue that motivate us. Uh,
Breaking up a little bit, sheet. Let you buffer out.
can you hear me better?
And you yep, coming in clear. Yes, sir.
Okay. So we see that these things are we see that these things are very important, right?
That's
And
right.
basically, when we look at this, the significant problems we face cannot be solved with some thinking that created them, right? Or the same thinking, excuse me, the same thinking. So we have to raise our level of consciousness because the thinking that we use to create the problems that we see in our lives
Hold
or
on,
have.
you breaking up, breaking up. All right, you coming in.
Uh-huh.
You like you coming in. Give it a second. Can you hear me? All right, give it another second. All right, you should be good now. Go ahead. You
So
good.
so we can't use that same level of thinking to solve the problems that we find ourselves in. We have to use a higher level or what we call the higher order of thinking.
That's right.
Right. So, man, praise Allah, man.
We
Praise
want to
Allah.
hit one point right here, right?
Uh-huh.
So we're going back because again the Moorish Science Temple of America according to the prophet. But go ahead, Sheik, you good.
Yeah, yeah. So, we the Moorish Science Temple of America, it encourages us to study the world and how we view it or see it, right? And it changes when we read the Quran or the more Holy Quran or the Moorish Science Temple of America or any other holy book. This is what it does, right? It helps us see the world from a very different point of view, and it also shows us the interconnectedness of things, right?
Right.
And that's true. That's actually true. That's true learning. Okay. So man, praise Allah, man. Praise Allah.
So let's do this. So
Okay.
last one. Prophet Noble Ali published an article, and the article is known as "Think This Over, You Moors," right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
there's some really profound things in here. The prophet, he lets us know. He's letting the temple know during that time, but he's also letting us know. He's telling us the prophet is not necessarily foreshadowing, but again, he's a prophet, so he can see ahead of the road. He can also see the things that are coming in the midst, right? So the
Mm-hmm.
prophet says this. He says, and let me scroll up real quick for the viewers. It says, "Think this over, you Moors." It says, all sheiks, grand sheiks must prepare for the prophet before he comes to visit. Must see to it that all is clean and in perfection as far as comfortable as possible. Otherwise, do not arrange to have him in his presence. All members should pay 25 cents to 50 cents weekly towards their emergency fund, because at that time, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali was building a national treasury.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it says this fund will increase so that it will soon amount to the grand sum of $1,000. So yeah, we can have a Moorish community and things like that. But the portion that makes me think about, why things really haven't kind of come together is it takes me to the chapter of the instability of man, because when you're dealing with the instability of man, you're dealing with that boy known as vanity.
That's right.
Vanity causes people to do a lot of things, and the elders, our elders, as well as elders in the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, and other and other temples as well, they have a
Uh-huh.
phrase, and the phrase is being high-minded. You know what I'm saying? So we're taught not to be high-minded. We're taught not to get beside ourselves. We're taught to humble ourselves, but also to do work. And the work that we do, we do it, for the love of our people. We don't do it expecting people to do anything for us, to, side with us. And even if you respectfully disagree with us, that doesn't mean that I can't do work with you. But
Yeah.
as long as I put my vanity in check, what I'm saying, you put yours in check, we can get something done. The prophet says this. He says, that is, if you're a Lord Moors, the emergency fund goes into the bank. The treasurer will tend to the responsibility of seeing that all money is in the bank. And yes, under the name of the Moorish Science Temple of American Finance, we need it. We need it. Act according to the law pertaining to the procedure of performing an emergency. All right, so now we're getting into some important aspects. It says
Mm-hmm.
no head or any said head is to borrow money from any member more than $5 to $10 unless by notification of the prophet. The necessity for the loan. When any said temple desires to purchase property, they must first notify the grand body or the prophet, and it must be purchased under the name Moorish Science Temple of America or Noble Drew Ali. An individual should never, an individual name should never be applied. And I'll also say that an innovation should never be applied as well. But
Mm-hmm.
to that as well, it says, "I, Noble Drew Ali, am responsible for all finance. So therefore, let I, the prophet, know what is on me." Prophet says
Mm-hmm.
this. He says, "Some of you have slipped and slipped drastically. So you had better lace up your shoes before I get there. Everything, every business transaction or anything pertaining to finance is to be transacted in the name of the Moorish Science Temple of America and Noble Drew Ali."
Mm-hmm.
See, people like sound bites and they like to use different portions of the prophet's teachings, but you should get into the habit of reading the full essence, the full expression, the full literary work of what the prophet is saying. It says, "We must maintain a grand treasury just in the days as our forefathers. Then you are a nation. Until then, you are nothing." Right. Let's go over here. It said the emergency fund is to be issued by no book, but an emergency card punch according to the contribution that marked on book. That is the law, and the law must live. The government is behind me. Again, that's the prophet referencing the government, not being in
Mm-hmm.
variance with the government.
That's
I
right.
must be behind you, for I must uphold and enforce the law. My mission is to save you Moors. All right. Now, this is the part that I want us to focus on. And if you're calling yourself a head of a temple, if you're calling yourself a grand sheik, if you're calling yourself a grand sheikess, if you're calling yourself an official in the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Moorish movement, the Moorish Divine and National Movement, because we know and understand it's not a separate movement. The Moorish Science Temple of America is the Moorish Divine and National Movement. It's not a republic. It's not a consulate. It's not give me another
Government.
a republic. It's none of those different things. It's just the Moorish Science Temple of America.
Mm-hmm.
It says the heads of all temples, grand sheikesses must confirm, confirm. Okay, so that means that you must not only state it, you must live it, you must act it, it must be a principle that you're carrying out in real time through your works, words, and deeds.
Mm-hmm.
The principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. They must live the life among the members and be loved, even as the prophet is loved. They must not practice the principle of segregation,
Mm-hmm.
among any group in his or her temple, let it be he or she that is head of any temple of the Moorish Science Temple of America, that if there should come any grievance that cannot be settled by the head, notify the prophet at once. Now, you stated earlier, Sheikh,
Uh-huh.
how would we go about notifying the prophet if the prophet, he passed form in 1929? I want to really think. You don't got to answer that, Sheik.
No, I'm not.
I
I'm
want
not.
people to really. I want people really
Think
to
about
think
that.
about that, man. Like, how would you possibly notify the prophet Noble Drew Ali? And this is the issue. A lot of people think the prophet Noble Drew Ali is dead.
That's
Prophet
right.
Noble Drew Ali is very much alive. He's very
Very
much
much
alive in the hearts and the minds of true Moorish Americans. The prophet Noble Drew Ali gives us a portion. Excuse me. In the Moorish Guide, there's an article that's written called Caveat Emptor, and it
Mm-hmm.
talks about the two roads. And again, going back to that vanity and even going back to the lower side, because we know what it breeds. It'll have individuals thinking that they on one road when
Mm-hmm.
all actuality they on a totally different road, man.
Right.
The
Right.
prophet says this. He says, no member is to attend the adab chamber that has not lived a moral and clean life and has not paid his or her dues or assessments, providing that he or she is working or able,
Mhm.
cannot consider himself a Moor, but traitors must be excluded from the books after having fair trial by the head of their temple, and that must be sent to the grand body. All members that are able to subscribe towards the uplifting fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation, and those that abide and fail to act, excuse me, that says able, and those that are able and fail to act are not Moors but traitors to their cause and the trust in their nation, and are not allowed to share all the Moorish honors. And the penalty is, it is embezzlement of the faith of our creed. All heads of all temples must observe these laws. Not some, not
Oh,
0.50, not 0.75. We talking about all heads. And this is by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. So if you
yeah.
practicing segregation, you know what I'm saying? If you're using innovations and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying, you try to get your point across by downing your brother and sister, you out of pocket, man. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You out of pocket.
Inshallah.
So clean yourself up.
And we're just using the word. Uh, we're just using the words of the prophet to show and prove what he's saying. He left his footprints clearly cut, and there's a paper trail of things that have been, if you will, innovations, and we know that it's not connected to the prophet, right?
Islam.
So we just going to continue to do the best that we can, and this is we going to continue with this series, right?
This
Because
is
it's
gonna be a pretty lengthy series, man.
yeah, yeah, and because it's power packed, right? And another thing with if the prophet, when the prophet said, if I can get you to think you can save yourself, right? He knew as humans or human beings, we are capable of advanced and deep thought, right? This means we can go beyond what is happening right now. Uh, this means we take our time to show an interconnectivity of everything around us. Our teacher, who is Prophet Noble Drew Ali, or a good Moorish scientist, a grand sheik, or a teacher, or whoever's teaching,
Islam.
um, they should want to connect the learner, make the connections for the learner, or help the learner make the connections and make the application in his or her life. So praise Allah, man. We just got to continue to do what it is that we need to do, and continue to stick to the Prophet Noble Drew Ali's system and his teaching. Because it's all right there for us. It's all right there for us.
Just
So
gotta
praise.
follow it. That's all. And just to put it out there, we ain't pouncing on anybody or anything of that nature. We just setting, some things straight. We
That's
want
right.
to thank everybody and who's following along, those who are listening and viewing. Thank you for your comments, your concerns, your questions, etc. If we didn't get to your question, we'll get to it, momentarily on due time. But go issue.
And and we basically um we have laws. I'm gonna address this right now.
Go ahead,
Right,
man.
we
Yep.
have laws, and when people break the laws, we enforce the law.
Islam.
So, um, and if people don't understand why the law needs to be enforced, we just ask, don't break the law, and we won't have to enforce the law. Because when you look at it, that's why laws are made, right? 9 times out of 10, a law doesn't exist until a person breaks it, and when they break it, then justice must take its course, and it's done in love, So, praise Allah, you know what I
Praise
mean.
Allah.
So we are not um on this platform, we are going to hold ourselves and others to high moral standards. And if you are not willing to participate in keeping a high moral standard, then by all means, we love you, but you don't have to watch us. We we have enough people out there that want to hear and can add some positivity to what it is that we doing.
That's right.
So,
And we're
we
not, in, um, just again clearing it up. If you look at the topic and the topic of the segment, we're going to stay on. Praise Allah. Just got my nationality 10 days ago, and I'm new, and I had to learn the proper way of doing things. I appreciate what it did. Praise Allah. East 49. Thank you. So that's what we're talking about. That positivity right there. You
yeah,
know what
that's
I'm
right.
saying?
Praise Allah.
We want to thank you for just tuning into the Moorish Sense Channel. We're glad that you proclaimed your nationality. Continue to tune in. If you have any questions or comments at all, please feel free to reach out to us at moresensemedia@gmail.com.
Mhm.
We're willing to help. As we stated before, we are in fact, not we're members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, active members of the Moorish Science Temple of America here in Baltimore, Maryland. We don't not only live it, but we live it. Our families live it, and we're family oriented.
Mhm.
But back to what I was saying a few minutes ago, and thank you, East 49. Ultimately, we're going to stay the course on what the topic is. So anything
Mhm.
in the comments that's not pertaining to the topic, respectfully, we're not going to veer off from it.
Yeah, not
We don't have time for that. And it's not to, belittle anybody or to make anyone feel small, but we have to stay on topic.
that's right.
That's one point of just being disciplined. Praise Allah. I
Mhm.
made things happen without my documents and demonstrated. Praise Allah. That's what we're talking about. And that's what the prophet, he wants us to do. He wants us to be ourselves, our higher
That's
self.
that's
Islam.
right. Islam.
Right. So
So,
thank you, Ishmael.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Praise Allah. And we have a lot of new a not lot of new things that's going to be coming down the pike. And we'll, once we get those things up and running, it'll, our listening audience, if you like what it is that we doing, and you'll be able to participate, even potentially become a member of our temple in the near coming segments. We'll once we finish doing what we're doing, and you'll be able to find that out of how you'll be able to do that.
That's right.
So praise Allah, Islam.
Amen.
Yeah.
Praise Allah. So we're going to close out this specific segment.
Yeah.
We're going to come back to,
Yeah.
next Thursday. We have a segment on this Monday coming up. We'll put it out there. I ain't going to tell you too much about it, but you'll be able to see it on the YouTube stream. We have a special guest coming on, and we're going to have other individuals coming on as well.
That's right.
With that being said, again, I want to give honors to the prophet. I want to give honors to his forerunner. I want to give honors to our leaders, our officials. I want to give honors to my wife. I want to give honors to my children who are asleep upstairs. My wife's listening to the program. But I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank
Praise
you,
Allah.
Sheik, and also Sheikah Seabreeze Bay. I see you in the chat as well. Mother Johnson Bay, Sheikah Johnson Bay. I want to
That's
thank
right.
all three specifically because all three of y'all are my seniors. Sheik, my senior, and had a lot to do with me coming up through the ranks in the temple as well. Sheikah Seabreeze Bay, and as well as Sheikah Johnson Bay. So I
That's
just
right.
give you all high honor showing your consistency. Islam.
Praise Allah. And I like to give honor to my fiance,
Let's pray.
to be.
Uh,
She is right there. Also, I'm grandfather now, so I'm pop him. So
Hold on, Sheik, you breaking up. We want to make sure they can hear clearly. All right, Sheik, you good? Go ahead, man.
I'm good now. I'm
You
good.
good now? Go ahead and
All
do
right.
your honors, man.
My grandson Carson, and I got a bonus grandson, Caden. Right.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's it's a blessing. Even to see this point. I can remember when I was like 18. I didn't think I would even see a point like this, but
Praise.
praise Allah that I'm at this point, and for the listening audience, and just bringing that positivity. Praise Allah.
We want to welcome you all out to the Moorish Science Temple of America. If you're in Baltimore, if you're in the Baltimore metropolitan area, feel free to come out to visit the Moorish Science Temple of America, located at 1055 North Milton Avenue. That's Northeast Baltimore. Our meeting hours are from Fridays from 8 to 10. Our Sunday school is Sundays from 12 to 2. If you come to Sunday school, come ask your questions, feel comfortable, know that you're at home, know that you are in a safe space amongst family. I'm the Sunday school instructor. Sheik Balaz Bey is the assistant grand sheik at the temple. And we just welcome you out, come on out. Also, we want to just put it out there too. Our sister temple, which is in the West Side, West Baltimore, 2900 Pressman Street. That's Grand Sheik Eric Thompson Bey. At same time, this is temple number 13 too. So if you're in West Baltimore, go out over there. If you're in East Baltimore, come out to see us. That's 2900 Pressman Street, same times. That's 8 to 10 Fridays, 12 to 2 Sundays. All right. And we also have other respective temples as well. We have Temple 27 in Atlanta, Georgia. And that's Grand Sheik Charles Brownell. We have Bethlehem, which is temple number 39.
That's right.
It's in Raleigh, North Carolina. We have temple number 11-1, which is in Philadelphia. That's the Grand Sheik V. Lewis Ill. We also have two temples in New York State. And Sheik, help me out with, I know one is Albany.
Albany, yeah, and then one is in Troy,
New York, right? And that's where the Grand Sheik Dr. Ill, and then you also have the Grand Sheik. You have the Grand Sheik Garrison Bey, Islam. Did I miss anything, Sheik? All right, praise Allah. East 49 in Harlem, praise Allah. Harlem, New York. That's what's up. All right, I'm just waiting for the Sheik to buffer in. We're gonna close this thing out. We want to thank you all for just tuning in again. I think he froze up on me. All right. So as the Sheik comes back in, I'm just gonna continue with the Moorish American prayer. We're gonna sign out with this one. So Islam, Islam, Islam. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide,
and my salvation
by night and by day, through His holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen.
Islam.
Islam, you were saying something else, Sheik. Go ahead. I think it's signal your connection. Give it a second, because I know you had something that you wanted to say that was imperative. All right, Sheik, I think you're good now. You good?
Our sister temple, Park Heights and Oakford.
That's right.
That's Grand Sheik
Daryl Johnson.
Daryl Johnson Bey. Right. And then we got on Bel Air Road. The next shows, I'll make sure I have the addresses so that if people are in that area, they can we got a couple of different temples here in Baltimore. So yeah,
Bel Air Road, Grand Sheik, Lomax Bay.
Lomax Bay, yeah, that's right. Spring Grand Sheik, Lomax Bay, yeah,
right.
Yeah, so praise Allah, man. We meet us back again.
Same time.
Same channel. Same channel, and looking forward to the special guests that we have and on when they do finally arrive. Praise Allah.
Praise Allah. Islam. Peace and love, everybody.
Peace, love.